And within 6 months, they did $25 million.
People don't care. Well, they do care.
That is what we call the pickup line. It opens up the conversations.
I mean, a lot of people call 5 to 10 million.
They changed the algorithm and everything fell off a cliff.
A lot of people are aware of Sales Navigator. They're aware of...
We've got a video that gets shot and then it scrolls through their LinkedIn profile.
I just couldn't keep up.
All right, let's take you on a journey and solve a piece of a problem.
What kind of different offers do you have?
Do it yourself or let's do...
And now the man you've been waiting for, John, the sales machine, Rankins!
You know, I needed to pivot because a lot of our brands were, you know, we didn't have brands. Our products were outdated, our services outdated, we had no technology. And I was like, how do I evolve like O2O, like online to offline and offline to online? And that's why I created the sales machine to automate the sales processes. And the fabulous framework, when you're talking, you know, now when we're in a boardroom talking about, you know, how we can help companies scale their business, and you got IT in there, you know, you've got the chief information officer. They want to know about the features. That's what it is. That's their gig. And so, but in the internet world, they're like, people don't care. Well, they do care. And especially if the CEO's in there with their technology people, you got to know the features. You got to know the advantages of your product, because that's what management wants to know. They want to know how it's better than others, because if they don't know the advantages of what you can do over others, and then they'll lose their job. And it's the CEO and the owners who want to know the benefits at the end of the day. So I call that FAB, or the fabulous framework. Tell me, how are you fabulous?
We've built a system called the Rainmaker system that is designed to do three things. It's designed to have massive impact in the marketplace, sustainable growth, and a lifestyle that you love. And it actually breaks down into three core systems, which is lead systems, sales systems, and scale systems. Now, in the lead system side of things, we want to achieve three things. We want to really dive deep into who is that ideal client that we're trying to target. We want to know their pains, their fears, their goals, desires. Then we go and position them as the expert so that they can solve one big problem for one ideal client. And that gets put everywhere across all their social media, across their websites. That is what we call the pickup line. It opens up the conversations, right? And that little piece there is people need to know how to work with you before they even talk to you. And what this does is it actually cuts through a lot of the noise, so that the next step, when you're going out and building your lead generation machine and you start really reaching out to people, now you know that people are connecting with you, have read your pickup line, they are interested in what you've got, and now you can actually start a conversation with them, and it's not just some random person that's connecting and throwing spaghetti against the wall for you, right? So we want to have congruency in the marketing, and congruency from who you are, the problems you solve, to the ideal client and the problems that they want solved. The next step in the sales system is that we build out what we call a $1 million model. So this is a visual roadmap of how you take your clients from point A to point B, right? This we found every single one of our clients that's worked with us, from, you know, 6-figure to 9-figure businesses, is they've said to me, yes, we started with you guys because we wanted leads and we got hundreds of leads. But the thing that was the most impactful was this model, because now I finally have a visual roadmap to align my team behind, that I can track and measure each step of the way, and I can hand it over to my relevant departments for the department heads to actually run that. So we then create a video on that, which gets used in the marketing to automate some of the marketing, the education pieces. Then your offers come directly from that. And, you know, this is one thing we do a little bit differently, especially in the B2B space, is that there are so many organizations out there, and, you know, the thing that they're struggling with the most is that they have these super long sales cycles, and they're creating custom proposals every single time because they're trying to shorten that sales cycle. So what we do is we take this 3-stage, 9-step process. We build out what we call the front-end offer from the first 3 steps. And this could be, 3 to 10K, solves one big problem, makes it a super easy decision for them. And then you upsell them the rest. So like my one client, Mark, he was taking 6 to 12 months to convert clients. We put this 10K offer as a front-end offer. He even gave a money-back guarantee. It was like, if I can't, show you at least $10,000 worth of value through this process, I'll give you your money back. The reason being is because when he does that $10,000 process, afterwards, he's like, hey, do you want help? We've just put this whole plan together. You can see how much it's going to increase your revenue by. Do you want to figure it out yourself or do you want help? And they're like, yeah, we want help. And he's like, cool, here's the next steps. It's only going to be 150,000. We've just shown that we're going to increase your income by X amount. It becomes a no-brainer. And the biggest thing he said to me was that, sales has been made fun for me because he's not a salesperson. He's 68. He doesn't want to be an expert salesperson. But now imagine taking that and replicating that across every salesperson that you've got. Now you know they're following a repeatable process. Now you know that their sales calls are going to be congruent. They're going to be taking people down the same journey, which means that now you can have a benchmark to hold your salespeople to. Because let's be honest, we know salespeople. You give them a month and the script that they learned is completely out the window and they're doing whatever the hell they like. Some of them, it's a week, But once we've got that dialed in, then it's about scaling. And how we scale is running events, either live or in person or webinars. So driving traffic through LinkedIn. The second piece is, and this is what I love, especially for scaling companies and people who need a lot of volume, is what we call the partner pipeline. So we've built a process that'll actually go and find you potential partners that have got a lot of people in their organization that you could partner with and that they can put you in front of their people. And then the last part, once you've got all that dialed in, start running some LinkedIn ads. We are seeing a 7.2 times on average return on investment, return on ad spend. So the difference for us is that we take a holistic approach and build a path depending on where someone's at to get them to where they want to go.
Yeah, I just had Keenan on here. He wrote the book Gap Selling, and he said that the bigger the gap, the more they need you. And I love that, right? Because the more pain they're feeling. What's the biggest difference you've made for like an already established business, right? $10+ million. Like, how have you grown? Because a lot of the listeners here are doing 5 million, 10 million, 20 million in sales, right? What's the biggest difference in what amount of time have you been able to do that for medium-sized businesses? What I a lot of people call 5 to 10 million a small business, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's a good medium-sized business as well. And I've got some crazy results for these guys. And it's always when we work with their sales team and we have the owner of the business driving it, or there's someone in charge of driving it. So for an immigration consultant, I worked with 10 of their salespeople, and they started to go through a bit of a slump because they were driving all their traffic through Facebook and Google ads. They changed the algorithm and everything fell off a cliff. So they hired me to come in and work with their sales team. And, my promise to them is I'm going to turn your salespeople into their own lead generation machine. So they're not just sitting there being order takers. Right.
If you're enjoying this episode and you're picking up what I'm putting down and what the guests are actually putting out there, do me a favor, like and comment what you liked about the episode, or even comment what would you like to hear, what topics would you like to hear in the future, because believe me, it matters. I read absolutely every single one of them, and I want to bring you more and more value to help companies scale so that we can grow this podcast to make a bigger difference. Now let's get back to the show.
And so I went in, this one was wild. I went in on a Saturday and Sunday. They were hurting. They're like, please come over the weekend. So I went in on the Saturday and Sunday. We rebuilt their LinkedIn profiles, taught them the strategy, wrote all the scripts, wrote everything, put the system in place. The next week, Robbie messaged me, and I've actually got a video on my website. Robbie messaged me and is like, dude, I just got to tell you, our sales have tripled this week because of this. And there's a video on the website saying this was the week before Matt. Matt came over here, and then you see the numbers just triple. It's wild. We've worked with other lawyers before, and, because their deals are generally massive. So, you get them a couple of clients. We did this one with this client in South Africa. She was looking to work with construction companies, and we've got what we call the Big Five, and they kind of run a consortium, right? And so her goal was to get specifically into this one. So we put a strategy together where we'd reach out to all the top players inside that organization and look for those pain points. And she landed up winning that account within a month. And it's huge. It just does millions for it, right? Or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for it. But I think the biggest one, which was the most fun and actually the easiest, was we worked with a company that is an auction house. And so they buy and sell heavy earth moving equipment. So tractors, caterpillars, all of that sort of stuff. And this is anything from their lowest ticket item would be like $200,000 all the way up to in the millions. And within 6 months, they did $25 million in sales. And they're looking to work with companies like Saudi Aramco, like big companies. Yeah, so $26 million, $25 million, that was one of the biggest achievements that we've done. And it was actually the easiest.
Talk about the tools. A lot of people are aware of Sales Navigator. They're aware of, different tools and stuff like that. What are the tools that currently you're using, or you think that will make a big difference for people even to just get started?
So just to get started, we've got two tools really in our arsenal that are the most powerful, that we use the most. One is Sales Navigator. Obviously, you need that. The second one is our own AI platform, right? It's called My Rainmaker. And what we do is that it has got automation built into it. It has got AI built into it, which means that every message that goes out becomes super personal, because it goes and reads that person's profile and actually pulls out content from there and puts that into the message. So now it's as if you've gone in there and scrolled and said, hey, I loved your post on this, or I loved your article on this. And it's creating a really specific personalized message and sends that out. So engagement rates go up, connection rates go up, conversion rates go up. Inside the platform as well is that you can shoot videos. So one of the things that we're doing right now is that we've got a video that gets shot, and then it scrolls through their LinkedIn profile and talks to them about something, and it gets put onto like a little bit of a landing page where it has a call to action on it. And you can get them to book a call, watch further videos, do whatever. So, that's the tool that we're currently using. There are a lot of automation tools out there that do similar stuff. You can play around with really whatever you want. We were looking more for a holistic tool that could not only do all of the stuff, but here's the best part, is that it can track and manage all of the data, which is the most difficult thing to do in LinkedIn. So now you can look at your dashboard, you can see how many connection requests sent, how many were accepted, how many messages started, how many people replied, how many leads you've got. It also enriches the data, pulls their email and sends emails and tells you the open rates and connection rates and all the rest. But then it auto labels everything, which means that you can pull up your prospect list based on the labels, and you know who to reach out to when and who to follow up with when, because the system is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So, and as you know, in sales, you can't grow what you can't measure.
Yeah, and you can't scale chaos. You really do have to have a system, right? Otherwise, it always blows apart. I've literally, I used to manage a couple hundred sales offices with Excel spreadsheets, and I just couldn't keep up. It was just insane. And now, if things are not systemized, it absolutely drives me freaking crazy. I have a system called MTM, Manage, Track, and Measure. But we have a weekly meeting called MMA, just like MMA. We manage, measure, and adjust. Otherwise, you're going to get knocked out in the marketplace, right? There's always going to be evolution and innovation to take advantage of. So what do you think is the biggest mistake people are making on LinkedIn? Companies specifically, not just individuals.
I would say that the biggest mistake is, if we look at companies, is just putting stuff out there, content, and not actually solving the needs of their biggest clients. And, when you can take people down a journey, or they're trying to solve too much of the problem, let's put it that way rather. They're trying to solve too much of the problem for their ideal clients, instead of saying, all right, let's take you on a journey and solve a piece of a problem. Because if people can just become aware and move them up through the buying cycles, then it's going to make much more of an impact. Because everybody's trying to focus on the people who are solution aware. And that's like 1 to 3% of the marketplace, right? If you look at the 3 stages, you've got people who are solution aware, problem aware, and then unaware. Your biggest market is actually in that unaware market, which is about 70% of the marketplace. So what needs to happen is that if you can figure out how to target the unaware people and speak to them on their level and bring them up to the stage where they become problem aware, where they become solution aware, your market opens wide up.
When you work with individuals, I mean, do you have a team, or do they just go through your Rainmaker system? How do they do it? And what kind of different offers do you have? And what would the investment look like for companies to get started?
If we work with an individual, I mean, we've got packages ranging from $3,000 to $50,000, or monthly. That's kind of like the rough estimates, and everything from do it yourself, or let's do some of the stuff with you and guide you through this process, to we can even get a whole bunch of stuff done for you.
That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.